Hello and welcome to RV Advisors All Things RV podcast. I am your host, Kathy Conrad. I've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for over 5 years, and I love helping new RVers realize their RV dreams. This podcast is about RV education, resources, adventures, and the amazing people who love RVing. It is also about discovering the freedom RVers experience, the connection with nature that we are all so grateful for, and how RVing enriches our lives. On this podcast, you can expect us to talk about all things RV, including the good stuff, the challenging stuff, and everything in between. So join us weekly and enjoy the lineup of guests we have in store for you. If you have been dreaming of RV camping and travel, this is a great time of year to start researching, learning, and exploring your options for an RV. I would love to help you get started on the right foot. Visit my website and schedule an RV readiness call. Let's get you started with a solid plan of action to make your way towards your RV adventures. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Today is a topic that I've been wanting to cover for a bit, and it's super important. It's understanding the weight tolerances for your tow vehicle or travel trailer or for a fifth wheel. It's critical for safety and performance. And so I'm going to kind of give a breakdown of the key weight ratings and how they apply to both your tow vehicle and your trailer. And I'm going to be referring to a truck. I know that there are some very lightweight trailers that can be towed by a SUV or a smaller truck, and these numbers still apply to that, but I'm just going with a truck for purposes of this podcast. So I'm going to go over the different ratings. The first weight that your truck encounters is its curb weight. So that's the weight of the truck when it leaves the factory. Then there's the gross vehicle weight rating. That's the maximum weight your truck can weigh. Exceeding this weight can, cause mechanical failure and certainly unsafe handling. And then there is the payload capacity. Now, your payload capacity is essentially your gross vehicle weight rating, the most it can weigh, less what the curb weight was when it left the factory. That number is your payload capacity. And that's the maximum amount that your truck can carry in terms of passenger, cargo, including the hitch weight and the tongue weight of your trailer or the hitch weight and pin weight of your fifth wheel. And then there's the gross combined weight rating. That's the maximum combined weight of your truck and trailer when fully loaded. That's the most it should be. This includes, the truck, passengers, fuel, cargo, hitch weight, the fully loaded trailer with all your stuff, toys, fresh water, anything like that you might travel with. And the towing capacity is the maximum trailer weight that your truck can pull safely, as specified by the manufacturer. And that factors in the engine, transmission, axle ratio, and the suspension system. So your axle weight rating, those are two other numbers that you need to be aware of. And that's the maximum weight that can be placed on each axle. And it's one rating for the front and one weight rating for the rear. And it's really important for balancing. You need to balance the load over both axles. And we'll talk about how you can do that. The tongue weight is the amount of trailer weight pressing down on the hitch. That's for a tow behind trailer. And the pin weight is the amount that is on the bed of your truck, because the fifth wheel, of course, is the hitches in the bed of the truck over the rear axle. The travel trailer or fifth wheel weight ratings are very similar in nature to the tow vehicle. So the trailer has a gross vehicle weight rating. That's the maximum allowable weight of the trailer, including all the cargo, water, propane, batteries, that you add to it once you get it. And this is the number like your truck, you don't want to exceed that. And the dry weight or unloaded vehicle weight is the same as the curb weight of a truck. So that's the weight of the trailer as it was shipped from the factory. So it doesn't have, propane tanks on it. There's no water, there's no cargo, there's no batteries, right? All that's added to it. And the cargo carrying capacity of a trailer is equivalent to the payload of a truck. So that's your gross vehicle weight rating, less the dry weight is your cargo carrying capacity. The tongue weight is the weight of the trailer on the hitch. So a tow behind, that's the hitch in the back, or the fifth wheel, that's the weight that it puts on the hitch in the bed of the truck. So for a travel trailer, that's ideally around 10 to 15% of the total weight of the trailer is what the tongue weight is. You'll see on the specs of your trailer when you buy it, it has the tongue weight, and that's the unloaded tongue weight, right? So it's way lower. Your actual tongue weight is going to be much higher than that number that you see on your paperwork. So some key takeaways around safe towing is never exceed your gross vehicle weight rating, never exceed your gross combined weight rating, do not exceed your payload capacity, and make sure that your tongue weight is this, if you're in a pull behind trailer, is that around that 10 to 15% range of the total loaded trailer weight. And then you want to make sure that the weight is in the trailer is distributed properly as well. You'll also want to check your tire ratings for both your truck and your trailer, and use a weight distribution hitch if necessary. Now, we use one, we have a beefy travel trailer. It's not big, it's 24 feet, but it's really well made and it's heavy. So what a weight distribution hitch does, and those need to be adjusted properly so that your trailer is level and you want your truck level. If it's a heavy trailer, and depending on your suspension, and we'll talk a little more about that in a moment, you may get a little bit of squat with your truck. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the hitch is adjusted properly. And the second thing is the weight distribution. So with a weight distribution hitch, there are heavy duty bars that slide into the hitch and they attach to the trailer, and it stiffens it up and pushes the weight forward towards the front axle so that not all the weight is on the rear axle. So that's an important thing to have. And then some people add airbags, and that's strictly for helping to level out the truck and the trailer and to make the ride a little nicer. It does not change your gross vehicle weight rating. And when I've talked to people about, like our limiting factor for our setup is our payload capacity. So we have to be very careful about what we put in. We can work with it. It's not a problem. But in retrospect, I wish we had gotten a truck with a different suspension system. So I'll kind of take that little side road for a second. So we have a Dodge Ram 2500 turbo diesel heavy duty 3/4 ton truck. It is a workhorse, but the suspension system is coils and shocks. Well, if we had leaf springs in the back, our truck would have a higher payload capacity. It sure does ride nice, either when we're towing and even when we're not. And that was important. If we're traveling across country, we want to have a comfortable ride. But, that's one of those things. We didn't do so much research on the tow vehicle. My husband, he'd always towed a trailer with his tools. He's a contractor. He towed, cargo trailers, which are not as heavy, so that I don't think that was ever something that he had to think about. So it wasn't on his mind either. But luckily, it's something we're able to work with. And, we just have to take that minimalist approach when you're loading a trailer. And this is what I recommend to everybody. You can't take everything. So really stop and think about, am I really going to use this? And over time you'll learn. You might load things into your trailer, and after 6 months you've never used it. Take it out. Just take it out. And you always have to be aware of what you're putting in and not taking too much, because it really does affect, it can affect the safety on the road. You definitely don't want to exceed your gross vehicle weight rating or your gross combined weight rating or your payload capacity. You want to check also your tire ratings and the weight distribution hitch, have it adjusted professionally if it's still not looking right. Everything should look level. And airbags are great, but they're not going to, again, change those weight ratings. So what we do, because, practically, you're not going to weigh everything that you put into your truck or trailer. You can't, What we do is every so often we go to the CAT scale. So and I keep a spreadsheet for this so that I can see the dates that we weighed, where we were going, were we taking a long trip or a shorter trip, that can affect what you put in as well. But if you go to the CAT scale, of course you go in and those are at like big truck stops. You'll see the big yellow CAT scale, you can't miss it. You pull in there, you pay for your weighing, and you're going to weigh twice. So the first time you get on, the scale and you position yourself so that there's lines on the scale. It's going to weigh your front axle of your truck, it's going to weigh the back axle, and it's going to weigh your trailer. And so once you've done that, you pull off, you unhitch your trailer, and you go back on the scale and just weigh your truck. And that's going to be, you're going to get a new front axle weight and a new rear axle weight. So the combined weight minus just the weight of the truck, that's going to tell you what your tongue weight is. The spreadsheet that I have all our weight tolerances in the spreadsheet for the truck and the trailer. And then I compare it to those numbers that I get from the scale. And that helps me to know, am I staying within the gross vehicle weight rating of the truck? Am I staying within the payload capacity, which that again is our limiting factor. The actual gross vehicle weight rating of our trailer is almost the same as our truck. We've never reached that 9,995 number for our trailer. The 10,000 gross vehicle weight rating for our truck, we're under that, but it's not as much as I'd like it to be, and the same thing with the payload capacity. So it's just something we have learned to work with. I wish we had gotten a 1-ton truck or actually had the different suspension. So the coils and the shocks that we have make for a great ride, but it reduces the payload. If we had leaf springs in the back, never even looked at that, it would have increased our payload capacity. So that's important to know. So do your research if you're shopping for a tow vehicle. My research really lacked with that. Love the truck. It's been a great truck. We just have to work within those limits. So do your homework. So that's kind of the gist of how it works. You don't want to exceed those numbers. It should look right. It should look level. And the things that I have seen in the years that we've been RVing, I saw one time at a campground, this guy had a Toyota Tundra, and he had a really long travel trailer. And it's parked there, and I'm looking at it, and tongue of the trailer is way low, the back of the truck is way low, the front end of the truck is high. That really affects the handling. That was a really very unsafe situation. And he didn't have a weight distribution hitch. He had a hitch with just the sway bars. And just a tip, and you shouldn't even get into this situation, but if you start having sway in the back, if your trailer is moving back and forth, it's very counterintuitive, but you accelerate and then you squeeze your trailer brakes and it elongates it and stops the sway. But you see these videos on social media with people just flying down the highway, towing either a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, and it's just all over the place. It's so scary. So you're really jeopardizing your safety and everybody else on the road. So pay attention to this stuff. If it doesn't look right, it's probably not right. Take the time to consult with a professional to help get your setup as it should be, or maybe you have to get a different truck. I see this all the time in the outdoors RV owners groups. The truck, that is always a really hot topic because, you get new people coming in and saying, I have this Toyota Tundra, or I have a Ford F-150, and, you can tell everybody's like, oh, here we go again. And it's like, don't skimp on the truck. Outdoors RV trailers are very heavy. It's just not worth it. And I think that's why the guy that we bought ours from, he was selling it. He'd only taken it out like 3 times, but he had a half-ton truck, and they're just too heavy for that. You might be able to get away with it with the 18-foot one that doesn't have a slide, maybe, depending on, your particular truck. But it's better to have too much truck. And my only regret is that we didn't either get, and ours is a short bed, right? So if we had gotten a standard bed with leaf springs, a 3/4 ton, it would have been perfectly fine. We couldn't put a decent fifth wheel in the back of our truck. So we're happy with the trailer that we have, so that's fine. In retrospect, I wish we had gotten something that had a higher gross vehicle weight rating and a higher payload capacity. Would have been good. So that would have given us the flexibility to get a fifth wheel. Things to keep in mind. It's a whole nother set of information you need to have to make sure that you make the right purchase for a tow vehicle. So in regards to the trailer, it's the same basic weight ratings. There's a gross vehicle weight rating on your trailer, and that's the maximum amount it can be when it's fully loaded. There's your unloaded vehicle weight, which is equivalent to the curb weight of a truck. So that's the weight of your trailer or fifth wheel when it was shipped from the factory empty. And it also has the cargo carrying capacity, which is equivalent to a truck's payload capacity, and that's the maximum weight of gear and that you can add. Water, your propane tanks, batteries, all that adds weight. And so basically it's a similar formula. It's your for your cargo carrying capacity of your trailer, it's your gross vehicle weight rating minus your dry weight. It's really important that you stay under these numbers. Going to the CAT scales to me is a must. You really need to do it. That's really the only way you're going to know for certain where you're at, because you're not going to be able to weigh every little thing that you put into your truck or your trailer. So in order to protect your investment and be safe on the road, I think it's important to hit the CAT scales. And just in general, the key differences between a travel trailer and a fifth wheel. The hitch type, of course, is different. A travel, and as far as weight distribution for a travel trailer, the hitch weight should be about 10 to 15% of the total weight of the loaded trailer, and for a fifth wheel, it's 15 to 25% on the hitch. And as far as stability is concerned, there's a potential for more sway with a pull-behind trailer, a travel trailer, but a fifth wheel is a little more stable just because of the way it is attached to the truck. The turning radius is wider with a travel trailer and much tighter. A fifth wheel pivots in the back of the truck, whereas a travel trailer, it's pulling directly behind, just like you're pulling a wagon behind you. It's going to follow you. The payload on the hitch for a travel trailer is lower. It's much higher, like I said, for a fifth wheel over the rear axle. And the overall length is a truck and trailer. You have the full length of the trailer, which there's the model number that you're going to see by the door of the travel trailer, like ours is a 24 KTS. That means the box of the actual travel trailer is 24 feet. But then the total is different. It's 28.8 on ours because of the from tip to tail, they call it. So it's from the coupler to the bumper. You add a few feet to that. So for a fifth wheel, it's not as long as the whole fifth wheel because part of it is over the bed of the truck. Some key takeaways for safe towing is keep track of your payload capacity. Ensure that the pin weight or the hitch weight is not too much. Confirm your combined gross vehicle weight rating and your towing capacity to make sure you don't exceed those numbers. Distribute the weight properly, so keep your cargo balanced. Use a weight distribution hitch if you have a heavy pull behind trailer, and then check the rear axle weight. Make sure that you're within those tolerances and that your axles are not overloaded, and make sure you have the proper hitching equipment, whether it's a fifth wheel or it's a pull behind trailer. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I do have a spreadsheet that I track all this in. I'm happy to give it to you if you want to email me. It's Kathy with a C at rvadvisors.net. And front for alignment, they put the instructions, they took the yellow sticker off and put that sticker on. So now I don't have that data. I went to put my VIN number into the Dodge website and it's not accepting it. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I will get it sorted out. I will get it rebuilt if I have to. And if you would like to have that spreadsheet, I'm happy to send it to you. Anyway, thanks for listening today. I hope you found this helpful and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in today to RV Advisors All Things RV Podcast. Please join us again next week for more RV education, resources, adventures, and interesting people. Until then, wishing you amazing adventures, safe travels, and I hope to see you on the road.